We'll be recording the session, minding that most of you would like to also have the recording in place to share with colleagues who weren't able to join with us today and tomorrow. Please welcome to the subject-specific session, which will be covering cybersecurity, artificial intelligence and as emerging professions, and computer science. It will be followed by the session related to technology, engineering, architecture, and design. And I'm very glad to say that actually these two sessions were the ones that really had a lot of interest from the side of different universities, institutes, and institutions, as well as NGOs that are running together different partnerships with the private sector. This session will be co-moderated and hosted with my former colleagues from the British Council, who are now with the Beautiful Science Foundation and the Science Festival, Lubov Kostova and Ivailo Slavov. Of course, they stand behind the TNE program in Bulgaria, which is currently done in partnership between the Council and the British Embassy. So a very warm welcome to all of you with us today. We have different universities, institutes, and actually I would like to start with our special guest from the Bulgarian Cybersecurity Association. Most of the colleagues there are actually also leading experts in the fields of cybersecurity, and we know that this is one of the emerging professions which we wanted to present during these specific webinar sessions. And I would like to give the floor now to Svetlin Iliev, who is the chairman of the Bulgarian Cybersecurity Association, who works together with colleagues also from the private sector, as mentioned. We'll have also colleagues from Mobile Wave Solutions. Happy Spring, Happy Nowruz to the colleagues. We know that it's the Persian New Year, so thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, please feel free to just present. And also, please do ask questions within the chat box functions or just directly by raising your hand. Let's use the opportunity and ask questions in relation to possibilities for partnerships, TNE partnerships in the sector. Do we have the Cybersecurity Association?
We do have them.
All right, great.
Thank you for the excellent introduction. Actually, I got a little bit stressed out by such big words, including the word expert.
No, please don't. Please don't. We really want to involve you in this, and thank you for your willingness to join us. It's very important to see how things are done in practice, after all.
Absolutely, I will try to give my best to introduce you first of all the association, and second of all two of our interesting projects which are then actually in practice. And I hope that is going to trigger some interest in the audience. However, one small remark, I don't consider personal opinion I'm expressing here is that cybersecurity is not a new emerging field. Actually, since there are computers, someone tries to break them and someone tries to defend them. So yeah, it's quite old. In my opinion, I'm going to allow myself to share my screen. I've prepared two presentations, which probably are going to help me do better presenting the association. Can you confirm that you see my screen?
Yes, I do. It's
great.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Great. I'm going to start with the Cybersecurity Association overview here. So with our mission, vision, etc. We're going to talk about who are the people behind it, what we do for our members, and I'm going to talk, even without slides, about a small project we're conducting here, including the municipality level regarding network and information security. So the association was created in 2018 as a non-profit private partner of the public authorities. We try to gather different expertise, including expertise from the academic institutions. We work very well with the Bulgarian Academy of Science, with Plovdiv University, with Varna University, with Schumann University, etc., etc. We also have different professionals in our community. But let me something else. I have the privilege of being the chairman of the board since 2021, and I believe since then we made quite a progress. In 2021, we did some different changes, including in the management board. You see it here. We have Mr. Atanas Temelkov, who is the former chairman of the e-governance agency. Mr. Kirill Grigorov, who is the CEO of CyberOne. It's a cybersecurity companies, one of the reputable companies on the market. Most of you probably know Mr. Lubomir Tulev, who is a renowned expert in the field. And we have Colonel Nikolai Stoyanev, who is Deputy Director of the National Defense Institute in Bulgaria. So that's for us. We work basically. Sorry, Ms. Karanova probably should.
Yeah, I would just like to ask the participants to mute their microphones so that, yeah, great.
In short, our mission is to be the bridge between different stakeholders in Bulgarian society in order to secure digital transformation in the whole Bulgarian society. It's our firm belief that security is indispensable part from digitalization, and every step should be in terms of digitalization should be done with the security in mind. For that, we work basically in 3 spheres. I'm going to start with training. We conduct different educations, prevention, security. We are very active in the context of the current conference. We work very well with universities. We provide them with the expertise regarding their syllabus, academic programs, and etc. We also do different webinars, open lectures. In terms of security, we work, and here probably it's the place where I can introduce the small project we're conducting currently on municipality level. We have the honor to execute a project with 16 municipality administrations. During the project, I'm going to give a very short overview. We try to examine their overall level of network and information security, and through different focus groups, methodologies, and guidebooks, we try to help them to implement further the Network Information Security Directive, which is mandatory on EU level, especially in the context of the second version of the directive, which should be implemented in Bulgaria in the next 12 to 18 months. Some very interesting. We're conducted the first stage of our project, which is basically research. We try to estimate the overall level of the network and information security in the municipalities. Of course, that data is confidential to the municipalities themselves. However, some very interesting results emerge, and I can share with you that we divided the municipalities on 3 levels: small, medium, and large administrations. And something very interesting came up from the results, and that is that some small administrations have actually very adequate levels of network and information security, levels which are not even achievable from the big administrations. And that shows us something, at least the insight I'm gathering from that data, is that if there is a will, there is a way to actually do cybersecurity in the right way in the public administrations. The next focus we have is prevention, and that correlates very well with the project, with the policies, with the mechanisms and the technical solutions we propose even in that project and in the next big activity, which I'm going to introduce you. In general, we try to be a very good partner of the public organizations in very different capacities, different councils, different working groups, and different initiatives. I shared with you that we started activity in 2018, and I can share with you that since 2021 we gathered, we have more than 30 members. I'm talking about legal entities, and over 40 members as a nature of persons. That's the, let's say, the cybersecurity community of Bulgaria. We focus on very different technologies. Cybersecurity is something that's not limited to, for example, only software or hardware. It has very different implications, especially you see artificial intelligence. Probably you've all heard about the new so-called realities in the field regarding the use of ChatGPT and much more and very more complex solutions. These are some of our partners. Here I can mention the European cybersecurity organizations, the Ministry of e-governance, the Union for Private Economic Enterprise, life insurance company, especially in their activities regarding the SafeNet for children, and Cyber 360 Academy. And that's our short overview of the Cybersecurity Association. Of course, you can visit our website, especially our LinkedIn profile. And now, if you allow me, I will present you something which the Cybersecurity Association is founding partner and has very big, immense role, if I may say, and that's the European Digital Innovation Hub Trachea, which is EDIH created under the Digital Europe program. That's a program which promotes different technologies and in different spheres, and the level of ambition is very high, and that is to create different European digital innovation hubs in every region in Europe, with the purpose of stimulating the local authorities and the small and medium enterprises in their digital transition. I'm going to give a very brief overview also of what are we doing in that European Digital Innovation Hub. So the project itself, it's already said what is the title, what is the program, but it has 4 main focuses, and that is to provide technical services in terms of very specifically tailored to cybersecurity services. It provides different services related to access to finance, depending on whether a different entity wants to improve its security, wants to explore different financing options, or if we're talking about a startup in the cybersecurity sphere. Here we also have a correlation with the conference. We work very actively in the education and skills section, where we partner with our academic partners, which I'm going to mention a little bit further in the presentation. And of course, we try to build the formal community of cybersecurity in Bulgaria, and that's through many different networking activities. I already mentioned some of our activities. So some of the services, and here I want to briefly mention that we provide 29 different services. I'm going to mention only the main ones. And in the different functions of the EDIH. And probably the most requested technical service, that is a penetration test. Penetration test, in simple words, is a white hacker, which is a computer expert, a hacker who uses his or her skill in terms of providing better overall levels of security in different legal entities. That is to say, you hire a hacker who tries to penetrate your system and then provides you with guidelines about the vulnerabilities and about the patches you need to do in order for you to improve your overall levels of cybersecurity. That is a very typical approach, a very used approach in the world of cybersecurity. And I believe that we gathered some very good experts that can provide that service for our partners and customers. That brings us to the word of prevention, because in the cybersecurity world, prevention is everything. Here I can mention also different services, including vulnerabilities assessment, risk assessment, digital maturity assessment, etc., etc. All of those services try to give the client a better overview of their current digitalization level and their cybersecurity level in order to improve it. The coordinator of the project here, I'm going to talk about the different partners in the consortium, is the Union for Private Economic Enterprise. It's a social partner in Bulgaria, which has over 10,000 companies as members, and we believe that huge scope is going to give us access to many and different companies which need to increase their overall level of digitalization and cybersecurity. The consortium is also has its members Bulgarian Academy of Science in terms of the Institute for Information and Communication Technology, the Bulgarian Cybersecurity Association, Plovdiv University, and Plovdiv Municipality as official beneficiary. We're also part of the European Digital Innovation Hub network and part of the network of hubs in the cybersecurity field, which is under the umbrella of the European Cybersecurity Organization. Here I want to talk about trainings, and basically in the field of cybersecurity, we provide 6 different courses for our customers. We provide cybersecurity basics or cybersecurity hygiene, basics of penetration tests, basics of web hacking, cyber defense or cyber protection, and offensive penetration testing. We provide one more course to our customers, which is a high-level artificial intelligence course in order to help companies to implement AI in their everyday business operations. How we can our customers benefit from that project? Of course, they can receive the trainings, they can receive the finance services, they can receive the technical service, but that's something very important I would like to mention at the end of the presentation, is that those services are free of charge for the final beneficiaries. And I urge everybody in terms of representatives of public organizations or different companies to contact us and see how we can provide them with the best know-how and best expertise to which we are able. That's for us. Here you can see the contacts of the organization. Of course, if the organizers deem necessary, I can provide the presentations and of course the contacts. And since probably, I'm actually right on time.
Yes, you are. Yeah, we'll definitely.
That was quite challenging.
Well, it is, but still we have a lot of interest in this session. Thank you so much, Svetlina. I hope that you will be able to stay during this session in case some of the colleagues might have questions specifically in relation to the fact that we, of course, try to foster and facilitate transnational education partnerships. And I believe that also it's like a win-win situation. Also, if there are such kind of partnerships in relation to cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, or people that would be developing these partnership programs could also benefit and join your efforts in a way.
Thank you for the kind words. Unfortunately, I have only 5 more minutes, and I would gladly answer any questions which some of the participants might have. Otherwise, you're absolutely free to share my contacts.
Great.
We can explore different opportunities, but for now, if they have some questions at the top of their head, I'm gonna gladly answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Lubov.
Hi, Mr. Aliyev. It's really great to hear this presentation because it does seem as university graduates might be a solution. What is your workforce like, and how can graduates of international programs benefit from or help in the development of the association? Or perhaps the other way round, what is it that you are currently looking for amidst Bulgarian graduates that might not be as sufficient or up to date as you would like it to be?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Kostova. Unfortunately, I don't have 2 days to answer the last part of it. But in short words, how can they benefit? I want to add a little bit of context. We are not only looking for graduates, but even for enrolled students in different programs. First, how they can benefit, of course, from the training courses, which are done by professionals that do that job every day on the ground. These are very well structured courses. We have partners in different countries, which we constantly review the courses. And I urge everybody to send a request for the education. Of course, we can organize bigger groups for 10, 15 people at once, online or offsite or on-site in Plovdiv or even in Sofia. We're very flexible. What are we looking in graduates? These are cybersecurity has, although it's often considered a one-dimensional field, that's not the case. People working in cybersecurity have very different backgrounds, including technical, including biology, including international relations, including law and administration. Of course, there is a huge hunger for technical experts to join the workforce that's needed in not only in Bulgaria but in Europe. I read recently, you know that there are many different studies on what is the need for a workforce in different fields, but the estimates which have recently familiarized myself are something between 1 and 3 million people working specifically in cybersecurity in the next 5 or 10 years. It's a very novel, probably academic programs which are called cybersecurity and take the broad. I don't want to go into technicalities and technical jargon, but it's very modern. Students are enjoying it. Of course, the international aspect is a must because cybersecurity, although it's considered a technical field, it's a field more or less on collaboration and trust. Trust is very important. Established formal partnerships, informal partnerships must, and they're basically the backbone of cybersecurity. Just to give an example, probably if the audience is not very much familiarized with the field, one of the main techniques in which the cybersecurity is improved on overall levels in terms of operating systems, in terms of softwares which are used, and that is information sharing between. So just to give you a clear example, you find you're a cybersecurity expert working in Estonia, for example, and you find vulnerability in the product. Then you share this vulnerability, but here is the partnership, the sharing of information with either the vendor or your national authority or your partnership network, and that vulnerability gets patched. And that's how you actually help millions of users, depending on the different technology, software or hardware which is used. So I'm going to urge really universities to look into the public-private partnership, working with companies, working with branch associations with ours. It's a must, and that gives you the information and insights from the ground, because it's a very fast pacing. The things in cybersecurity change every day, every minute, actually.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Actually, now, because I know that we're running in terms of time, I would need to...
I believe Mr. Swabov is raising his...
Okay, all right.
Thank you. I'm using the opportunity that Mr. Iliev is still online. Thank you for the great presentation. I'm just trying to make this webinar useful for the universities that are online and this webinar. So I'm wondering, from your work with the universities, have you identified some weaknesses or some lacks or some drawbacks in the programs on cybersecurity, being it the curriculum, being the human factor, being the organization and administration of those programs? And I'm asking these questions just to be as much as clear for the universities as Bulgarian and UK university, because a future collaboration in this field can yield very solid cybersecurity programs.
Thank you for the question. That's a topic very close to my heart. Basically, you summarized which is usually the problem. And I can here talk about my experience only in Bulgaria. And then I can give you an example how I tried to introduce the know-how which I saw and gathered from my studies at the Central European universities, university in Hungary, now it's in Austria. Probably you're well aware of the situation. So the problem, what I've seen here in Bulgaria, is mainly that due to lack of resources, especially of human resources, universities try to adjust their curriculums according to the experts which they have. I know that might be pretty straightforward and not very diplomatic, but I believe that if we want to, we consider the topic extremely important. Excluding that we are working every day on that, it's very important for our societies, for our businesses, and for even on individual level. And we cannot make compromises with the education in this sphere. I believe it should be the opposite. We should take the best curriculum programs and the best academic programs in the world and try to implement it to, as much as possible in Bulgaria, and have this ideal in mind and work towards it. What I've seen is that often in Bulgaria, the technical and practical aspects, first the programs are very broad. And I know the reasons why. Masters usually in Bulgaria, in terms of higher educations, are considered, don't have this specific focus which I've observed in some Western universities or some universities abroad, not even Western. They're very broad. So just to give you an example, a cybersecurity program in a certain university has the students study the legal aspect, have, for example, 4 courses on legal aspects, 4 courses on policy, 3 courses on technical aspects, and 2 more courses on compliance or some international or more strategic approach to cybersecurity, which has logic behind it. Unfortunately, my vision, and I here talk about my personal perspective, is that it should be more focused. It needs to be more flexible. Probably one solution is to have different career paths. In one master's degree. For example, if there is a basics which everybody needs to understand, but then we have the technical aspects, we have the legal aspects, we have the compliance, and then we have the more strategic approach probably for managers and CEOs. I've seen that, as I mentioned, at CEU, where, for example, in the business department, the data analytics programs were designed in that manner. So, for example, if you would like to develop your data analytics skills in more practical aspects using softwares like Stata, like R as programming language, or like SPSS, then you take this path. If you would like to more qualitative and with less quantitative aspects, you take this career path. And I believe that's going to raise the overall satisfaction in the students, because I had the honor of teaching a university course, and it's very clear to me how the students actually, every student comes with a different idea about cybersecurity in their head. Some come about the strategic level in terms of geopolitics, some come very technical, practical desires, some with legal background, because that's a huge chunk of cybersecurity, would like to learn more and actually get some certification. And oftentimes they're disappointed about the mix which they are offering. Of course, I'm well aware about the limitations, but I believe these limitations could be overcome, especially with the partnership and especially with the human resources and the experts, which especially the British universities as one of the leading powers and leading powerhouses in the world in terms of cybersecurity technology and education related to it. Sorry for the long answer.
No, thank you. Thank you. Quite valuable insights, actually. Thanks.
And thank you so much. Now we would like to go on with our next special guest for the session, Mr. Omid Rezvani from Mobile Wave Solutions.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Happy New Year.
Thank you very much for Nowruz. It's very
For
kind.
Nowruz, of course. It's springtime, and we hope that with the starting of the spring, it's not a coincidence that we're having our TNE partnership event taking place exactly now.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have been listening since this morning. This is my first webinar with your kind invitation, and I'm pleasantly surprised by the quality of panelists. I learned a lot, so I will make an effort to join more panel sessions if I can. And I have to say, I feel that I'm the least experienced and qualified. So I will just share my own experience as someone who has run business in Bulgaria in past 8 years. And I have been a software engineer myself back in the days in 1993 too. And I've run IT technologies businesses for 23 years. I love Bulgaria and I love what you're doing. I have heard from you today from government representatives, the initiative that they are encouraging to implement in order to address the shortfall of resources and investment. I have heard about the UK businesses and educations that they're trying to link the education between UK and Bulgaria. What I bring in is my personal experience. I don't have data to quote. I don't have a study or surveys that we've seen previous panelists present. I bring in my own experience, the challenges that I've had in past 8 years in growing a business of 5 people, purely on professional services ground, to a business of 140 people and growing. Mainly, we're focusing on talents, on software development. So this include technologies like native iOS and Android. It does include in JavaScript and other things. So we work with recruitment agencies. I have my own recruitment team. We work with recruitment agencies. We take part in salary surveys. We interview about 250 people a year, of which on average we recruit 25, 30 people year on year. So the experience that I've seen throughout is the missing connection between educational bodies and what matter most to the businesses. We should take responsibility partly for that from business perspective, but also I think where BBVA can come in is on addressing the culture differences between UK businesses and Bulgarian workforce, to educate both parts of the equation. So when they interview someone, what should they expect in terms of training and academic qualification? Often I find out that people are still doing master degrees, but they have 5 or 6 years of experience in the industry, which is rare in UK, where in UK you just finish your education and then you do your master. As the previous panelist said, much more focus on a specific niche technology, and then you go and get a job, whereas in Bulgaria it's different. I myself, from Mobile Wave, have tried a few times to reach out to universities and see if we can do something together. But it appears, again, it's my personal experience, that they are very much focused on academic part of it and where we can support them in terms of maybe computers, grants, or award, or something along those lines, rather than maybe we get some insight to a niche market that is coming. For example, 8 years ago or 6 years ago, when I was recruiting people, I could find a Java developer with 5 or 6 years of solid Java development at a reasonable price. We heard from someone from Minister of Labor saying average salary is about 1,000 euro. In IT is far from that. 6 years ago, I could have get someone on a regular software development role, or Java or iOS or Android, at maybe an average of 2,000 euro per month. Today, we're looking at least an average of 4,000 euro for someone with 4 years experience. And even when you get that individual, you realize that they have a very shallow experience, because most outsourcing company from Europe or from UK in particular are focusing on maybe lightweighted software development. I have seen the transition, like every other business in IT, that is much more focused now on data analysis, data modeling, AI. And if you go out today in Bulgaria, in Sofia, and you try to recruit someone with that kind of ideas, you rarely can find any suitable candidate. So what we should think about collectively, because we are all part of the ecosystem, if I don't support the governments and initiatives here today and educational bodies to prepare for future resources that my business need to grow, I'm destined to be failing in the future. Either I cannot find the available resources, but even if I find them, they will not be at the price point that I will need to continue doing business. Equally, if educational bodies that I've seen today in Bulgaria focus on mass production of a low-level expertise to just fill the gap, we're encouraging foreign companies to use Bulgaria as a foot soldiers and not the brain of technology. There is a huge demand for software developers, but there's also a huge demand for coders. So what we see here is a gap between the level of expertise, the government initiatives in addressing this level of expertise, and the missing point is working with the private sector and see what are the niche individuals that we need to focus on, namely AI. Everybody is using that word, but even in UK, you cannot find many people who says we've been there and done that, because it's a new technology. Isn't that time for us in Bulgaria maybe get together and set up a specific training program just for that thing that we know is going to be a huge requirement in the future? Data mining, data manipulation, data modeling, as well as other things. So my own experience is, while you can build a very successful and profitable business in Bulgaria, you find yourself operating in the shallows. It's just you have to get people in to do the work that is demanded, and things just getting more and more challenging in getting the right people in for the right price. There must be something that we all can do together to move it forward in a better pace than there is today. The cultural difference is the key. Every industry that I speak with, and I often go to various symposium and events, they all focus on what they do and what others do and how they can work together. What we should focus in, how to promote the culture within the ecosystem that we're working on, what is expected from British businesses in terms of human resource and intelligence in this country, and address that. I see that I've covered very quickly the 8 minutes that I had. I hope it was some use to the audience. It's a very limited knowledge that I have, but that's all I had to say for this time. Any question? I suspect not.
No, you mentioned actually quite a few really important parts in terms of the demand and what we have to offer. And probably the good news is that we have here some participants from universities, both in Bulgaria and the UK, who are willing to share more about their programs, especially in relation to what you mentioned, this gap feeling of really qualified specialists that are able to work within this emerging from one side, but from another side, very fastly moving specialties and specializations, which really require flexibility in order to be able to respond to what is needed from the side of the market, from the side of the employers, as yourself, and minding that you're also such kind of specialist as background. You know very well how fast things move and how flexible programs need to be. It's also what our previous speaker said. We really need to be flexible in terms of what we offer from one side to the students in order to have qualified talent, not just filling like a certain quota of students that are trained in a certain field, but having the expertise there.
Yeah. My fear is that in 10 years from now, Bulgaria will lose its appetite to be the center for technology providers. And it's a simple maths, it's supply and demand, right? People come to Bulgaria because it's more reasonable in price point first. They can improve bottom line for businesses, their EBITDA, but also they need to find clever people to do the business at a reasonable price. In past 8 years, the market has superseded the supply, and therefore it will encourage more less qualified people to fill in the positions at the higher demand. Today, we have 23, 24 years old with 2 years of iOS experience asking for 7,000 net leverage just to join. And we worried that Bulgaria will price itself out of the market with a less experienced people unless they take an action. This will not happen in next 2 or 3 years because there is enough expertise to move between the companies. But rest assured, as I've seen it happening in Poland and Romania in past 15 years, it will happen in 10 years' time if education and training and IT training, like businesses, there are 2 or 3 schools in Bulgaria that are focused in IT, do not focus in a more in-depth expertise training. Thank you very much for your time. Is there any question? I saw something. If it's not, then I can turn off my camera and microphone.
Well, actually, I would now ask some of the participants that were willing to present their programs. For example, Mr. Ivan Yordanov from the School of Computing from the University of Portsmouth to join. We have also some participants from the Staffordshire University, Edinburgh, Napier University that wanted to present a bit more their programs. And we have a really big group from the military academy in Sofia, specifically focusing on cybercrime, because I think that probably through their presentations, we could learn a bit more on how things have been moving in terms of artificial intelligence and technologies. So yeah, please join the conversation.
Shall I start to Brianna?
Perfect. It will be a real pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being able to be with us today.
Yeah, no, that's a useful webinar. I
hope
say,
so.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm a bit apart from all the politics, but involved how the government is reacting to the new requirements in this market, and the stuff that Omid was telling about is quite interesting for me. So if you don't mind, well, I would say you asked me, and I will share very briefly some thoughts regarding the activities related to my school and how we actually collaborated in the past with Bulgarian universities and what is in the future. So maybe between 5 and 10 minutes. I'm not going to bore you if you just let me share the screen. Okay.
Well, with all the interesting things that you shared before we started, I hope, I mean, I'm sure that you won't bore anyone, actually.
Okay.
It will be so interesting.
Okay, right. Can you see this nice picture of Portsmouth?
Yes.
Spinnaker Tower, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's great.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Ivan Yordanov. I'm a reader in computational intelligence in School of Computing, and we'll briefly share with you a few thoughts how we collaborated before. And in fact, we had quite fruitful collaborations under the Erasmus program. But as you know, as a result of Brexit, we're actually running out the last extensions of the collaborations. They should complete in May, just in a few months. And in the past years, we have students in my school from Bulgaria as bachelor students. We have students master's courses joining. As well, I had several PhD students, which I got thanks to the Erasmus program. But although several years ago, when the negotiations were going on and Boris Johnson promised that the Erasmus will be kept after Brexit, that didn't happen. And as I said, now it's expired and the last extensions are going to finish in next few months. We have one new initiative which I will mention at the end of the presentation. Very briefly about the activities of my school. The university is one of so-called new university in the UK. It started the first degree in the 1900s. Okay, but it's now one of the top so-called modern universities. We have 5 schools. The technology is the one, and all the, as you can see, buildings and facilities are a mixture of all the new ones, all spread into the town center. oops, sorry. So I was, before giving you some examples of research projects that we're running with the collaborations with other universities and firms. We do undergraduate degrees and masters. We have about more than 60 academic staff, similar number of PhD students, and more than thousands of undergraduate and postgraduate students. And we cover a number of courses related to computer science and AI and computational intelligence, cybersecurity as well, which was mentioned, and more specific master's degrees related to AI, data analytics, machine learning, cybersecurity, etc. One example of a large project that involves, it's actually led by my colleague, Professor Zhao Ji, with 4 universities, 3 companies within the European Union, UK and France. And it's a 3-year project in robotics for more than €1 million, which is heavily involving AI into training robots in the for upper limb rehabilitation. Another project, 3-year project, which is a bit less than £800,000, funded by EPSRC, which is one of the main research councils funding research in physical sciences. It's which I am leading. It's collaboration with Oxford University and Oxford University as Hospitals NHS Trust. NHS is the National Health Service in the UK. And it is about using deep learning models for analysis and risk assessment of outcome from labor. We're using fetal heart rate and other factors, medical factors, to predict the risk of adverse outcome during labor. And the project is going on now. The ultimate goal is to develop a software for a handheld device, which the medical staff can use for helping them to take informed decision whether to intervene, for example, with cesarean, or not to, if there is no such, or not to intervene wrongly, let's say. Okay, so well, I will skip through the computing facilities, which most of the universities are having, but we have it heavily computerized, and the networks, all the buildings, all facilities are Wi-Fi enabled. There's something that recent investment in our library, and something that I wanted to mention, initiative, which is quite new and related to AI in general, and more specifically to neuroinformatics, neural networks, and neurocomputers. And that's why we call this group N3BG. It was founded very recently, end of the last year, by Nick Kasabov, who is a prominent name in this area, and with a number of other prominent scientists and experts from Bulgaria and all over the world. And the group is aiming to establish a program that will help train highly skilled human resources, something that Omid was talking about that maybe is lacking now in Bulgaria, specifically in the AI field. And we will start with, we already started with our first webinar last month. We intend to do monthly webinars and distance research seminars, including workshops, one every year. This is as a start. And those of you who are interested probably can see the website address of the group and can join further. Now, I will briefly mention that because as I said, the European collaboration between all those transitional programs or trans programs supported by Erasmus now are not available for the UK. Maybe British Council will be able to take some part with funding and developing programs that will support students exchange and expert exchange in this area. So I will stop here and let eventually if there are any questions, or if there are other speakers and they would like to take the microphone. Thank you for your attention.
This has been very inspiring, and actually, yeah, I hope that colleagues also from other universities will be able to take the floor and ask questions in relation to these amazing programs that you're involved in. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, cheers.
Can I just add that on behalf of the UK, the Turing programme is supposed to provide opportunities for outward bound mobility of UK students to countries overseas, just as a small addition.
Yes, thank you. I was actually checking this because colleagues from France, the University of Grenoble, were interested in this, and the support is, I would say, very, how could I say, tiny for students. Still, it won't cover expenses, and in general, it should be someone whose parents or who is having resources, funding, etc. for the moment, would be able to, do this exchange.
Can I quickly check what the appetite of Portsmouth University and your program is for additional? I know Portsmouth University already has transnational education projects in various countries, including in Poland. So I was wondering what the appetite for further expansion of transnational collaborations are.
Well, especially international students are almost very welcome. We have collaborations not only in Europe. We have, for example, collaboration and outsourcing courses in Singapore, in other countries, and it has been always the case. And no matter how strange this is, but in the recent few years, we have increase in the international students joining the university, especially courses related to computer science, AI, etc., machine learning. That I mentioned, those, how could I say, current hot topics and hot topics areas. But as I said, before, when you had these established programs, it was much easier to contact the opposite partners to, say, prepare and sign collaboration agreements, and then the program could kick off and start exchanging whatever, whether this is undergraduates or postgraduates and so forth. But now, still, such program is not substituted, let's say, as Erasmus one. Okay. Right, maybe we should move to the other speakers or comments, etc.
Dobby, I think that
stop here.
there will be a common theme by the time the other presentations have been delivered, and perhaps more opportunities for questions. As of course, I just want to contextualize this and the next presentations. The Bulgarian students going to the UK in previous years, of course, so according to the statistics, the second largest group, the second consolidated largest group was in the engineering and IT programs. And this was, unfortunately, also the largest group that was missing on the Bulgarian labor market, and as we can see, has yet to be, that quota, those vacancies are yet to be taken up. So this is a really important part of this, of the webinars, because this is in fact the most voluminous, the largest and most impactful on industry group of students who would have left to do their studies and been away from a market that demands them. So just contextualizing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as it was mentioned by Mr. Yordanov, and you contextualizing the situation, there are a lot of students moving into programs within other EU universities. So it is, of course, quite flexible situation, and that's why it would be great also for other participants. I know that we have participants currently from Staffordshire University, Edinburgh, Napier University, if they would like to share some more about the possible programs in order to fill in the gaps. I'm sure that the Bulgarian universities would be very much looking forward for such kind of possibilities.
Can I just before we move on, just add, based on what you said, it isn't an issue of whether the students not being able to go to UK universities, go to other universities nowadays. Actually, that is no problem whatsoever, as long as the qualifications they receive are adequate to what the labour market is on offer and their own personal aspirations. According to the survey that we did literally 2 years ago on the last year, on the expectations of and aspirations of prospective Bulgarian school leavers who would be leaving school in the next, over the next 3 years, that was then, while they still, for obvious reasons, they still cannot be as while the UK education market is not as accessible to them as they would have liked to, it is still the #1 aspirational study abroad destination for Bulgarian students abroad. So it is not a matter of whether other universities, other countries will be, if you like, moving into a space for transnational or for study abroad. The point is that Bulgarian students still want their #1 study abroad destination in these areas is the UK. So it's a very particular demand and supply context.
Thank you. I see Miss Lombardo joining us.
Hi, yeah, so I'm here from Edinburgh Napier University. I have just a couple of slides. Unfortunately, I am not from the School of Computing. I am from the international office. So hoping that we'll be talking kind of more about just one moment till I get this up. The models that have been really successful for us in other parts of Europe and the world for T&E that we're hoping to get started and find new partners in Bulgaria. So let me just quickly see if this will work this time. typical. Is that working?
Well, yeah, it's perfect. Yeah,
that's great. So let me just see if I can, for some reason, it's not letting me move forward. Wow. Okay. We will. Never a problem without some technical issues, but we'll just go through.
Don't worry.
Right, so just to kind of introduce myself really quickly. I am the International Partnership Manager for the Americas and Europe. So like I said, I'm with the International Office. I work to support kind of the universities, all of the universities' partnerships from study abroad to our T&E, our T&E activities from dual degrees, articulations, flying faculties, all of those different models. I am based, Edinburgh Napier is based in Scotland, so I'm sure that you all will be familiar with Scotland's really unique culture and distinctive kind of education system within the UK. So we are a 4-year degree at the undergraduate level, so slightly different from what partners might find in England. Edinburgh itself has so much to offer from an industrial opportunities for students, and of course that industry aspect really informs all of our degree options. We are named after John Napier, who invented logarithms, and so really kind of formed the foundation of our cybersecurity work from the get-go. Just a few stats kind of about our computing programs. We have a School of Computing Engineering and the Built Environment. We have a really strong foundation in cybersecurity, data engineering, software engineering, web design. But as I'm not an academic from the School of Computing, we'll probably leave it there, and I'd be happy to connect everybody with our academic teams who could speak a little bit more about that. They just unfortunately had teaching commitments at this time. But what I would like to talk about is just some of the models that we have seen to be really successful. You know, as was mentioned, Brexit has been really devastating for us with our European and Bulgarian students in the classroom. We want to make sure that we're still we're still connecting with those students and getting their valuable contributions in our classrooms as well. What we have done at the postgraduate level is implemented a scholarship scheme that pretty much maintains the fees very similar to our home rate. So we're able to hopefully still make that attainable from our postgraduate level. But of course, the undergraduate level, the Scottish government would have provided funding for students previously, and we don't have that same level of funding available. What we have implemented with partners, particularly in Germany and in France, is to have dual degree programs that allow students to defray the costs of these the degree, where they're getting a degree from their home institution based in Bulgaria, and then also a degree from us. So that could either be a 2+2 model at the undergraduate level, or a 3+1 model at the undergraduate level. At the postgraduate level, we also have that offering where we have done either one full semester of study or a semester plus a dissertation to provide a dual degree. It really depends on how the programs map together. So hopefully that would then give students the opportunity to get a UK degree and still kind of keep the costs of the education quite low. We also have models in Switzerland and in Singapore where we are providing our degree programs locally through a partner, and we can either work with partners who are going to do all of the teaching locally, and we would provide kind of the IP and the teaching support for quality from Edinburgh, or we have flying faculty models where faculty will fly in and teach the programs themselves kind of with a local partner. So we're really open to a lot of different models, really keen to find new partners that are interested in developing that further. And so I do have my details here. If anybody has any questions, they can just reach out, and I can bring the academic team inside to talk more about the program mapping and seeing if those subject areas really align at the teaching level. That's it for me.
Great, and of course, we are here also to share the contacts. So yeah, colleagues could also always reach out to the British Council, and we could make the connection. After all, that's the whole idea of the program, to facilitate exactly such kind of connections, because we also have many other colleagues like you who are from the international relations departments and are doing this really valuable work to share contacts and to speak a little bit more about the different programs. So thank you so much for that.